The MD-80 passenger jet was a workhorse for American Airlines for 36 years. In 2003, American had 362 of them in its fleet, but time caught up with the plane. Nicknamed the Mad Dog, American retired its final 26 this week, replacing them with newer, more efficient aircraft. We asked Kris Van Cleave to find out what happens when a jet's flying days are over.
Good morning. This is the Roswell Airport. It's known more for the planes that never take off than the ones that do. They call it a boneyard. It's where planes whose flying days are done are parked. And they're parked here by the hundreds.
American 9466, you got people up here watching, so make it a good one. Clear for takeoff.
This will be the final takeoff for American Airlines Flight 9466, touching the painted early morning sky for the last time as it flies from Dallas to Roswell, New Mexico. Retirement flights are special. Typically, there are only pilots. We're about the only passengers on board, which means we do have our pick of seats.
Here we go.
Captain Dave Clark was at the controls. After 53,563 flight hours and approximately 3.2 million passengers since it first took off, with this final entry in the plane's log, Clark closed the book on American's MD-80 fleet. An old friend of his for 27 years.
You know this day is coming for a while, but to realize this is your last takeoff, your last landing, this is the last time you sign the logbook, shut the engines down, it's a little surreal.
Well, that's it.
One by one, the parade of planes, the last of the airline's MD-80s, landed in Roswell, rolling to a stop side by side.
So much of the part of the history of American.
American Airlines CEO Doug Parker has brought in more than 500 new planes in the last 6 years.
We now have the youngest fleet of all the network airlines. So this is what happens when you bring in new airplanes. Old airplanes come out to the desert. 24 retiring planes in a day is unusual, but this is literally where old planes are put out to pasture. The hot, dry air wards off rust, preserving the aircraft. From old 747s to a private jet that once belonged to Elvis, row after row, a sprawling testament to the planes of yesterday. So many, you can see them from space. Is Roswell the end of the line for most of these planes?
For most of the airplanes, yes.
Brian Hancock's company, Cavu Aerospace, buys old airliners. They sell the engines and strip the plane of in-demand parts. What percentage of this plane will end up getting reused?
So with the processes and procedures that are used today, we are up in the 90 percentile.
Retirement's not so great for the rest. Smashed into pieces and sold for scrap. But Dave Hall sees a certain beauty here. It's quiet. You sort of just hear time passing these planes by.
It's got this real eerie kind of feeling. It's a boneyard / graveyard. It's something romantic about it in the same sense, you know, to come out here and walk amongst these giants.
For nearly 20 years, he's been taking pieces of old planes and turning them into something new. This MD-80 tail they're cutting up today goes to Hall's Southern California workshop, where his company Murrow Art will turn it into furniture that borders on art. A sofa, this mile-high bed, or his bestseller, these tables.
I felt like it was really kind of like our duty to kind of preserve aviation history a little bit.
History that, for now, is grounded. American expects some of the planes that were retired this week to fly again for a different airline in different colors, but most of these planes will be parted out and recycled. Some will sit here, parked in the New Mexico desert, for years to come. For CBS This Morning, Kris Van Cleave, Roswell, New Mexico.
You think about how many flights they made, how many people they carried.
All the ambition, the opportunity they represent, and now they're quiet.
Yeah.
It'd be like a little museum.
It is.
In that area.